ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Billy Bragg.
Hello, Christopher. Good to see you.
It's warm in here, Billy.
It's lovely and warm, isn't it? It's California warm.
So I figured we would start off talking, because you're here for the Beethoven performance, and what we talked about a little bit earlier, your book that you put out in 2006 called The Progressive Patriot talks a lot about being British and coming from England and everything that entails. And this performance, you've talked a lot about the relationship between Beethoven and England and your relationship to Europe. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, it may seem like an odd thing for someone of the left to be interested in the politics of nationalism, but we have real problems in my country with a far-right fascist racist party called the British National Party, who a couple of years ago won 12 seats on the local council in my hometown, which makes them the actual opposition in my hometown where I grew up. And part of the problem that we on the left have, because we are committed to internationalism, we don't ever talk about our sense of nationhood and what, the sort of diverse society that we believe in, that we want to create. And because we shy away from talking about these issues, we kind of leave a vacuum which is very easily filled by the racists and the fascists. We leave them to set the agenda about who does and who doesn't belong. If we are to guide that agenda, to make the idea of being British accessible to everyone who wants to be part of it, and I firmly believe that being British or being American or being whatever is about where you are rather than where your parents are from or your grandparents are from. It's about space, not race. And trying to get those ideas over, in order to do that, we really have to take the fight to the fascists. We have to not give them an inch of the English identity, because I am, as you said there, I am English, I am British, I am European, I'm a citizen of the world. I'm all those things all the time at the same time. But when you see people marching with our flag and giving Nazi salutes, you've got to stop and focus on that particular, how do we get that flag back, So that's not a kind of abstract thing that I woke up one morning and thought, I'll start writing about Britishness. It's something that I came to after a long, long time of being in the anti-racist movement, to actually be able to sort of overcome my sort of rejection of all nationalism and actually start to think about, it's really about belonging rather than about, saluting the flag or any of that other stuff.
Well, I mean, I would think a lot of your songs and a lot of traditional singer-songwriters who do political song, working men kind of songs or working people songs fit that mold, where they're speaking about large ideas that are global, but they're talking very much about their brothers, the people right next to them.
I think it's actually more important than that. I mean, when I originally started writing about this issue, a lot of my core audience were rather, to put it lightly, ambivalent about it. But one of the things that you have to do with your audience is not to pander to their beliefs or their prejudices. You've got to try and take them to places where they might not go. The music can't change the world, but it can give you another perspective of the world. And that's what I sought to do in writing songs like England Half English, as much as I did when I wrote a song like There Is Power in the Union. I'm trying to give people another perspective. So you have to challenge your audience sometimes, and it was quite challenging my audience. When England Half English ends with me saying, oh my country, what a beautiful country you are. And friends of mine, fellow travellers, when they first heard that, said, you're being ironic, aren't you, Bill? And I was like, no, man, I'm not. I'm not. I mean it. I love my country. My love for my country is manifested in defence of a free health system. That's something fundamentally that's, to me, what it means to be British. The generation that created that, my parents' generation, they went through the Depression and they fought a world war in where their houses were bombed by Nazis. And when they came to the end of that war, they didn't just put the world back the way it was. They made a better world for us. And if we keep faith with that idea that they gave to us, we keep faith with that generation, the greatest generation. Because in my country, the greatest generation didn't only storm the beaches, but they also gave us universal healthcare free at point of need. That's some great generation.
Well, so what do you think about what's going on in the United States right now? You say, your parents' generation were bombed by Nazis and then decided they would give everybody health care. Our country is saying we're being bombed by Nazis with health care.
Yeah, this is one of these things we don't quite understand, how, you couldn't, in a country so rich and powerful that you don't have universal health care. You know, I mean, you people, you know, you put 2 guys on the moon 40 years ago, which is an incredible thing, really, really impressed us, but universal health care would impress us more, you know. Because I mean, and I'm a great fan of that. You know, I've really been enjoying all the 40th anniversary space race stuff. I've been going through it with my son. But imagine if John F. Kennedy had said universal health care for every American in this decade. You know, and we do these things not because they're easy, but because they are hard. You know, that's the kind of commitment that you need. And you know, if you want it, it's out there to get it. But you have got to work as hard as you work to get your president elected. You've got to do the same stuff you did. You've got to get out. You've got to be knocking on doors. You know, getting Obama elected just got you on the pitch with the ball, you know. Now it's kicked off, the game's happening now, and you've got to get that ball again. You've got to work harder than you did during the election if you want these kind of things. And I hope you do. It's very easy when someone is elected after a period of, shall we say,
an eternity.
Well, no, I mean just a time when you know things have been going the wrong way in your country. There's a huge pent-up urge to make things better. It was the same for us when Tony Blair was elected after 18 years of the Conservatives. Yeah. But just as Obama is facing now, within a year of Blair being elected, there were people in my country saying he's the same as Margaret Thatcher. Well, excuse me, you know we've worked this hard just to pour cold water on things as soon as they go bad. You know, you're not going to get everything you want. It doesn't just happen like that. You know. But what's different now from last year is you now live in a world of possibilities. And as long as he's there, those possibilities will remain in play, you know, and you've got to push harder than you did before. You know, our enemies, those, you know, all of us who want to make the world a better place, our enemies rely on cynicism to undermine what we do. And they rely on us thinking, you know, I'm the only person who feels like this, how's it going to happen? You know, that's our great enemy, because it's not out there. That cynicism, it's in our hearts. You know, when you look at the task before you, how are we going to do this? But, you know, you've got to hang on in there, because with regard to Tony Blair, you know, I mean, he got us into the war in Iraq. You know, and we'll be forever, in our country, forever damned for that. But he also got peace in Northern Ireland. Now, you know, do I have to weigh those two things up and ask what, you know, one or the other? Because I don't think the Conservatives could have delivered that. So that's how it will be after Obama. Hopefully his achievements will outweigh the things that he does wrong, but you've got to hang in there. It's going to be a long haul.
I grew up in Texas, in East Texas, where the most liberal thing there is, you know, I don't even want to say, but yeah, I was exposed to a whole other world and a whole other world of thinking through music, and Shepard was very much the same way. He grew up in the South, and so did music play that role for you?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Politically?
Yeah, it did. I mean, there wasn't much politics when I was growing up. My parents weren't particularly political. I lived in a town where the same party always got elected. You know, nothing really hugely changed. But because I was listening, I really liked American soul music, particularly Tamla Motown and you know, Stax and those kind of labels. So I kind of, by osmosis, took on board the precepts of the civil rights movement. Yeah. Although I was a bit too young to actually be there and then, and I kind of got the idea that politics should say something from listening to that. So when punk came along, I was kind of already primed for the politics of punk.
And so when you first started being creative and musically inclined, did you feel, because of those influences, that anything that you did creatively should also say something?
Not really, no. It really did take punk, and particularly Rock Against Racism. That was the first political activism I ever took part in. I went along to on a march and a gig in Victoria Park in Hackney in East London, because the Clash were playing. The Clash were on the bill, so I figured we should go along, yeah. And at the time, I was working in an office, and the guys I worked with were casually, in their language, racist. They were sexist. They were homophobes, you know. And I sort of knew that what they were saying is wrong. I think I was 19, but I never actually did anything about it because I felt I was in a minority. You know, I was the office junior sort of. And when I went on this march and we got to the park and there was 100,000 kids exactly like me, I realised actually that on this issue of opposition to discrimination of all kinds, my generation were going to make our stand. This was going to be our Vietnam. And you know, when I went back to work on Monday morning, I knew I wasn't in a minority. And that's the power of music. But crucially, you have to remember the lesson from that. It wasn't the Clash that changed my perspective of the world. They got me there. Their job was to bring me in and to inspire me. It was being with those people, being in that audience, realising I was not the only person who felt strongly about these issues. That was what really changed my world and gave me the courage.
Society.
It goes back to the fact that only the audience can change the world. Singer-songwriters, bands can't change the world. And, you know, who'd want to live in James Blunt's world anyway? You know, even if you're beautiful, you get sick of it. So, you know, and it's a hard one to throw back at the audience because people come to your gig and they want, you know, they kind of want you to sing the songs and we punch the air and we sing these songs together. But, you know, that's a great feeling and it's a very important sense of community and I hope, you know, you go away inspired. But in terms of making a difference, it's what we do when we go from this place that matters, not what we do tonight. What we do tonight is a way of charging up our batteries and, you know, I talk to people after shows and they tell me what they're doing, you know, and they tell me how inspired they are by my music, but I'm just singing about it. They're doing it. You know, I was talking to a woman last night who was an organiser for nurses, you know. She's actually at the sharp end. I'm just, you know, she's telling me how much my songs are. I'm like, yeah, but I'm just travelling around singing songs. She's actually doing it, and that's the real relationship between the artist and the community.
Well, I have more questions for you, but I think it's a great time to try and actually hear a song first.
Yeah. I'm happy to do a bit of that. They might have to put that mic up for me to do a bit of that. What would you like to hear?
Should we start with Beethoven?
Always a good place to start. I haven't actually played the Beethoven yet. It's going to be, so I don't know. I mean, I know the tune, I know the words, but do you want me to tell you how I came to write new words for Beethoven's Ninth Symphony? I was doing a gig for the reopening of the Royal Festival Hall in London, and I was invited to do something called the Big Busk, where I was going to play a load of busking songs and lead a chorus of amateur guitar players. You know, bring your guitar along and I'll lead you through the whole thing. And it seemed to be that in the production meeting, the Ode to Joy was mentioned. There were going to be 3 or 4 different performances of the Ode to Joy. So I said I'll do it in the Big Busk, and I'll write a couple of verses of lyrics so I can sing it because I'm not singing the German, and because I can't. I'm not that good. And there was a woman there who was teaching some kids from 6 to 11 to sing a literal translation of Schiller's original poem, that's the Ode to Joy. And she was having a bit of trouble with them, with the Daughters of Elysium and all that. So she said, if you do write some lyrics, can I see him? Because you'll really help me.
The original poem that was recited in beer halls and stuff.
It was a drinking song.
Yeah.
And
all good political songs are drinking
exactly.
songs. Yeah.
I know for a fact that Star Spangled Banner, the tune is an English drinking song of Star Spangled Banner. I wish I knew what the words were. This is going to have to go the other side because I can't. I'll twat it. Can I swap it around like that?
Yeah.
Like where it was before. Thank you. So I'm in this meeting, and I've volunteered to write these songs. I write the song. I write the 3 couple of verses for this woman, and they like them so much they ring me up and say, do you think you could write the whole thing for the full choir? I said, what, the whole 4th movement? Yeah. I said, yeah, probably. I said, great, by Tuesday. This is like Thursday.
Are they a non-profit?
Huh? Yeah, they are, yeah. So so I spent the weekend walking around singing this and eventually came up now. I was having some trouble. Throw off, that's what I was having trouble with, wasn't it? The 3rd verse. So the whole thing is 22 minutes long and incredibly choral, but the singable bits I can kind of sing. So let's see if we can. See now like a phoenix rising from the ashes of the war, hope of ages manifested, peace and freedom evermore. Brothers, sisters, stand together, raise your voices now as one. Though by history divided, reconciled in unison. Though by history divided, reconciled in unison. Throw off now the chains of ancient bitterness and enmity. Hand in hand, let's walk together on the path of liberty. Hark, a new dawn is breaking. Raise your voices now as one. Though by history divided, reconciled in unison. Though by history divided, reconciled in unison. What's to be then, oh my brother, sister, what is in your heart? Tell me now the hopes you harbor, what's the task and where to start? Though speak 10 million voices, every word is understood. Furnish every heart with joy and banish all hatred for good. So I played it over the phone to Beethoven. He said, "Yeah, sounds all right." He didn't actually. He said, "What?" What? The Ode to Joy was a very, very political song. I mean, it was a paean to brotherhood, and the song is not really a translation at all. It's an extrapolation of the key line: "Allah mentioned wir den Bruder, all mankind become brothers, all everyone becomes, all humanity becomes one," and the references to bringing people together. The Royal Festival Hall, which we were celebrating the reopening of, was built on a bomb site after the Second World War. And that idea of a space that had been destroyed by Nazi Germany now holding, the pinnacle of German culture, the Ninth Symphony, which is also the European anthem, the anthem of the European Union. It seemed to me to that idea of unison. And the line before "Allah mentioned wir den Bruder" does actually say, the translation is that which convention has sundered, your wings bring together. Flowery stuff. That's Schiller. He was a great guy.
Well, before we go to the next song, do you want to just quickly, while you're up there, can you tell a little bit about Jail Guitar Doors and the work that they're doing, and just the importance of that before we hear the next song?
Sure. A couple of years ago, I got a letter from a fellow working in a prison near where I live in the west of England, who was working as a rehabilitation officer, working with people with addictions, drug and alcohol addictions. As in the USA, there are many people in prison in Britain who really should be in some sort of hospital rather than some sort of prison. It's just unfortunately that prison, even with a socialised health system, prison is the only place ultimately that can't say no. So trying to engage these men in the process of rehabilitation. He played a little bit guitar, so he was kind of teaching them to play guitar, but he only had one guitar. The only guitar that was in the prison belonged to the vicar. And he had to take it home every night to practice playing Kumbaya or whatever. And I don't know, whatever. So
it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, it does.
Song.
So he asked me if I could help him get some more guitars, and so I sort of sourced half a dozen 50-quid guitars, and went to see the work he was doing. It really was amazing, and it occurred to me that there might be other people out there who were doing this kind of work. So I began to, through word of mouth, working with him and his friends, find more and more prisons. And it was something that I wanted to do. I was looking for something to do that year. It was 2007, something to do in memory of Joe Strummer. It was the 5th anniversary of his death in December that year. And it seemed to be that it was the sort of thing that would fit in with the memory of the Clash and what they stood for. Jail Guitar Doors is a Clash B-side, and the B-side of Clash City Rockers. So since then, we've been in 30 prisons. And I'm really pleased to say that Jail Guitar Doors is about to start operating here in California and across the United States of America. Wayne Kramer of the MC5, who was himself been incarcerated, I did a gig with him earlier this year, after which he took the entire ensemble, Tom Morello, Boots Riley, Perry Farrell. Amazing. We all went to Sing Sing prison in upstate New York and did a gig there. And I told him about the Jail Guitar Doors effort in the UK. And the funny thing was that Mick Jones of the Clash wrote Jail Guitar Doors about friends of his who had been to prison, and one of those friends was Wayne Kramer. He's actually in the damn song. So it's very, very fitting. Yeah. Let me tell you about Wayne and his bags of cocaine is the opening line. And so it's incredibly fitting that Wayne, particularly through his experience, when he spoke at Sing Sing prison to the men in rehabilitation from addiction, the things he spoke about was incredibly powerful, very, very moving. So I'm really psyched, and Shepard Fairley's going to design the poster as well.
Right.
And this is me and Mick Jones there.
Yeah.
Mick has been very, very supportive. He was the first person to offer me some money. And so that old Clash fan in my heart, I thought, wow, yeah. So I'm going to play you a song that kind of pertains to a song I use when I'm in the prisons, because these guitars are not a gift to the men in the prison. They're a challenge. They're a challenge. You know, they're been provided by people from outside who believe that these men can be rehabilitated. You know, this doesn't work for everyone in prison. You know, there are people, you know, in prison here in the United States of America and in Britain, all around the world, who should never ever come out again for all our safeties. But they're in a minority. The majority in my experience, the majority of inmates in prison are capable of being rehabilitated. And that's what I want from my prison system. I don't want there to be any more victims. I want those men to be rehabilitated. But as here in California, our prison system in the UK is oversubscribed and understaffed. The people who are there are doing as best they can under very, very difficult circumstances of overcrowding. So as a citizen, it seems to me to be the sort of thing that I should be doing to help that rehabilitation. And as a musician, I'm acutely aware of how playing an instrument can help you to transcend your surroundings, whether that's the upstairs front bedroom of your parents' house, as it was for me, or, you know, a prison cell. So, you know, that's what I say to the inmates. I talk to them about the challenge, and then I play them this song. It's called I Keep Faith. If you want to make the weather, then you have to take the blame. If sometimes dark clouds fill the sky and it starts to rain, and folks complain, and though your head may tell you to run and hide, listen to your heart and you'll find me right by your side, because I keep faith. I keep faith. I keep faith. I keep faith in you. Yes, I do. I keep faith in you. If you think you have the answer, don't be surprised if what you say is met with anger. contempt and lies. No matter how hard you may want to, just walk away. Reach out, you'll find me there beside you all of the way, because I keep faith. I keep faith. I keep faith. I keep faith in you. Yes, I do. I keep faith in you. All the dreams we shared, I never knew no one who cared about these things the way that I've seen you. It doesn't matter if this all falls off the cliff. Together we are gonna see it through. I know it takes a mess of courage to go against the grain. You have to make great sacrifice for such little gain and so much pain. And if your plans have come to nothing, washed out in the rain, let me rekindle all your hopes and help you start again, because I keep faith in these troubled times. I keep faith in these uncertain days. I keep faith. I keep faith in you. Yes, I do. I keep faith in every single one of you. I keep faith in you. Yes, I do. I keep faith in every single one of you. I keep faith in you. Yes, I do. I keep faith in you. I keep faith in you. Death to cynicism. It's one of those. It's one of my favourite. It's my favourite type of song to write. A song that is both personal and political. When I play it live to an audience, I talk about what we talked about earlier about cynicism. You know, because that's what keeps my cynicism at bay. I'm fortunate. I get to stand in the dark with people like you and hear you cheer at the right place, and you tell me, you know, it's my faith in humanity that you know finally keeps my cynicism at bay ultimately. And when I do that rap and when I talk about that, my son, if he's there with his mum, says, "Mum, why doesn't Dad just tell the audience this song is about you?" And she says to him, "Well, you know, it is about me. You know it's about me. I know it's about me. Dad knows it's about me, but it's also about what Dad's saying. It's about both those things." So he's like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, that's my, you know, not a political song, not a personal song, but both, because the world isn't just personal over there and political over there. You know, these things overlap, and it's our enemies again who would try and make the political extreme. You know, you're only political when you talk about issues, when you try and get stuff done. You know, if you just keep your head down, don't say nothing, you know, that's not political. But, you know, if you are trying to make a difference, if you are trying to walk it like you talk it, then everything is political.
Well, you once said you don't like being called a political singer. You'd rather be called an honest singer.
Well, I don't mind I am a political singer. I don't mind being called a political singer. What I object to is being dismissed as a political singer. That's the real thing that hurts, because, you know, I have, you know, my USP is politics, and I'm happy with that. I haven't changed that. I wouldn't change it because it keeps me engaged. But it's very easy for people to think they know everything about Billy Bragg. I mean, I did a gig in London to launch the album last year, and afterwards, one of the security guys who was in the pit said to my sound man, "Oh, I quite enjoyed that." I said, "How do you mean?" He said, "Well, I just thought it was all going to be politics, you know." But it was quite good, wasn't it? So I'm like, That's what I'm up against. You know, people who've you know, if you count off the songs I've written, the majority are love songs. You know, as Antonio Gramsci said, you know, if you can't love those people nearest to you, then what kind of socialist are you? If you can't love the people closest to you, how can you love humanity? You know, the two go together. He was the Smokey Robinson of Marxism, as far as I'm concerned. You'll get letters about that if you broadcast it. It may have been Camelot for Jack and Jacqueline, but on the Hugo Chavez highway filling up with cheap gasoline. Fidel Castro's brother spies a rich lady who's crying over luxury's disappointment, so he walks over and he's trying to sympathise with her. But he thinks that he should warn her that she, you know, she's not personally going to have to pay for everybody's health care. It's going to be kind of shared out, you know. In the former Soviet Union, the citizens demand to know why they're still the target of strategic air command, and they shake their fists in anger and respectfully suggest you take the money from your missiles and spend it on an NHS kind of style, kind of thingy. The Cold War now is over, but the stakes are getting higher. I'm frightened of collateral damage and a friendly fire, and I don't believe we can defeat no axis of evil by putting smart bombs in the hands of dumb people. Yeah. Mixing pop and politics, they ask me what the use is. I offer them my acupuncturist and my masseuses while looking down the corridor out to where my van is waiting. I'm looking for the New World Order. Have you seen the New World Order yet? Has America qualified for the Soccer World Cup? I don't know. Where are you? You've only got to beat Canada and Newfoundland. Jumble sales are organised. All my mates got fat. Even after all this time, you know you can still send me a fax. You can be active with the activists or sleeping with the media while you're waiting for the great leap forwards. Oh, one leap forwards, 2 leaps back. You're the guys who gave George Bush the sack, aren't you? We owe you a great debt of thanks. We owe you a great debt of thanks. Well, here comes the future and you can't run from it. If you've got a website, I want to be on it. Yeah, you can Twitter me all night and all day long, yeah. In a perfect world, we'd all sing in tune, but this is reality, not American Idol. Get off my case. Waiting for the great leap forwards. Ah, bulls and bears, bulls and bears. Is there anyone out there still trading shares? Forget it. For the great leap forwards. So join the struggle while you may. The revolution's just a socialised healthcare program away. When you're waiting for the great leap forwards. Thank you.